welcome to my bathroom. So this is a topic I've kind of been wanting to talk about for a while now, and I think it was already on my mind, but especially after my last rant video where I talked about my work. I want to talk about my remarkable inability to connect with other women. And I know that's a broad generalization. There are women out there who I know I've met and they're cool and we could probably be friends, but for some reason or another we're just not. But in general, it's a topic, it's something that I've always struggled with. I mean, I struggle with connecting with people in general, but especially other women. And when I was younger, other girls. And anyway, that's quite the topic, but I'm reminded of a question, one of the first questions that somebody asked me on my channel, and they mentioned like my childhood and asking like why I feel like nobody cares. And I will say that it's something that didn't even really come up until I was much older, once I was like already on my own. And my siblings were basically like, parents didn't give a crap about you. I didn't prompt them for this. They just, it was stated like, oh, of course, like it was a fact. Everybody knew it, but, it didn't get acknowledged until I was a fully functioning adult. By then, the damage is done. Basically, I think I was ignored a lot. I was kind of neglected. I was the youngest of multiple children, and by the time I came along, there just wasn't, I guess there was a lack of resources, or lack of like attention and caregiving. So apparently I was left alone in my crib to cry for hours and hours, and while my mom dealt with my siblings, most notably my older sister, who has a flair for drama and attention, which is fine, but I think that sort of personality is mainly like what I'm talking about here when I say that I struggle to connect like with other females. I feel like if you're not sensational, if you're not like the squeaky one, so to speak, like you do get ignored. And like even as an adult, I go through life, I feel invisible. I mean, I know I'm not, but that's how I feel. And I always did feel like I was in the shadow of my older sister, and she was the fun, sexy one, and demanded everyone's attention, and that was fun. I didn't have a problem with that. I'm not competitive at all, but it does suck to have your basic needs not met. And anyway, so my father was gone a lot, and I guess my mom struggled to take care of all of us. And it was a pretty tumultuous environment, not gonna lie. It wasn't that great, and maybe that whole invisibility thing was something that I used to my advantage, like to survive. I was criticized a lot. My mother, she never like complimented me. It was never like good stuff. It was always like bad stuff, criticisms, and I was a good kid. I was such a good kid. I was very diligent, and I was good at school, and I was quiet, and I was sweet, I was respectful, I was all of the things. And so when I saw the sort of fights and drama and things that my sister was starting, my fabulous older sister, my conclusion was, well, my parents, I guess they hate me because I'm not pretty enough, right? Like, I'm not fabulous enough for everybody. And of course, when you're a kid, it's like you can't do anything about that. You know, once you're older, you can, like, if you have access to resources and money, yeah, you can have, like, a glow up, as they say. But as a kid, you don't have that, right? So I guess I chose to develop my mind. And maybe, like, my personality, my sense of humor, hopefully my intellect, all those things. And because I was like, well, even for all of these, you know, fabulous people, like, their looks are going to fade, and then what are they going to be left with? So, yeah, I tried to work on all this stuff. And, yeah, I had kind of a rough time back in school, like, just with teachers and sort of, like, talking down to me, and maybe it was something that they did to all the girls. And I don't even want to get into, like, the whole possible, like, psychological profile of the sorts of women who are drawn to those jobs, like teachers. I think there are a lot of questionable characters and whatever. I don't even want to talk about that on my channel. But, you know, the sort of unfair advantages they give towards one group of people versus another, and, you know, talking down to girls and telling them that they can't do stuff because they're girls. It's pretty rotten, the kind of stuff that goes on and what's allowed to go on. I hope that these days, you know, it was 2025, hopefully by now they're not still doing that stuff. I don't think other kids were mean to me or anything. It was just more of, like, a puzzled indifference. Like, I would look at them and they would look at me, and we would just kind of, like, just, like, not connect. There's just nothing there. It's like, I felt like an alien or something. Yeah, that's how I felt in my childhood. So I spent most of my time alone or with animals. Anyway, that was a good question that somebody asked. Why I feel like nobody cares, because, like, actually nobody did growing up. And I've generally always had to do things by myself and for myself. And I wasn't given the sort of things and attention and support that my siblings were given. So, anyway, back to the whole female thing. Yeah, this past month or so, if you know from my last rant video, I was talking about how they moved me to a different team, and they just plucked me out of my old team where I was killing it, and put me in a position that I'm, I guess, overqualified for. And I was pretty offended by it, to be honest, because I worked really, really hard, and, like, I have this certain job title and a job description, and what they have me doing is not it. But it's supposed to be temporary, but either way, they want to keep me on the team after this temporary period for a more suited position, and I still don't feel great about it, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not comfortable working with certain kinds of people, and yeah, there's a lot of other females in this team. And I say females because I don't know, are they women, are they girls? I don't know. But it's awkward, and I feel like there's sort of that same puzzled indifference. Like, we just kind of look at each other and there's just nothing, it's like there's nothing there to connect on. But also I present myself in a very professional way, like I'm there to get stuff done. And anyway, what is the source of the kind of discomfort that I often feel? Not always, because there's plenty of cool women, like I said, and I've worked for cool women who come to work, they're professional, they're straight to the point, they just want to get the job done. It was awesome, no problems. I'm not making a general statement that, oh, women suck. But there's certain personalities that do suck, and, you know, it's characterized by things like passive aggression and, you know, having henchmen, you know, having somebody ask you questions. It's all about being, like, indirect. And anyway, there's plenty of cool women, but like I said, they tend to be invisible by society, whether that's just a consequence of who they are, or maybe they choose to make themselves invisible as a sort of, like, survival mechanism. I'm not really sure, but I know at one point I rented a room from a lady who was super sweet, lovely person, like one of the best people I've ever met. And you know, she was never married and had no kids, but she was a really lovely person. And so I know they're out there, right? Like there's good people out there, and I think they can just be kind of hard to find. Because they're not screaming from the rooftops, they're not trying to get everybody's attention, they're just like living their lives, doing their own thing. What is the source of this discomfort that I have around certain kinds of women? Passivity, passive aggression. What is it? Like, is it all really rooted in like insecurity, right? Or jealousy, envy, that sort of thing. Like, if I'm out in public and I see a woman and she's with, like, her husband or boyfriend, whatever, and I start, like, shaking my boobs in his face, okay, it would make sense that she'd be like, hey, what the hell are you doing? But every time that I can think of, every time, like, eye roll or near miss or near hit with a shopping cart, that kind of thing, it's always happened when no men are around. It's always like me alone in an aisle, and then like some random female is just like, you and comes for me. And so it's like, is that really jealousy? Because I thought jealousy is a fear of losing, like, attention or resources in place of someone else having those things, having it taken away from you. I don't know. I need to look up the definition because I don't know. I do find it interesting though. It's like, if it's insecurities which drive immature behavior in females, why is it then that our society, people in general, they look up to, they admire these, like, overly confident, even, like, full of themselves sorts of personalities, right? You think, oh, wouldn't they value more, like, the modest, low-key ones, the ones who are not trying to get attention? Or the ones who are not playing up their looks and things like that? Or is that just some effect that we see from, like, celebrity culture? Like, who's hot right now? Like, Sabrina Carpenter, right? People generally celebrate her. She's a celebrity. But if you didn't know who she was and you saw her in public, and you're, like, an insecure female, would you be rolling your eyes at her? Or would you be like, yeah, go girl, you're so hot? I don't know. don't know. But anyway, it's really uncomfortable to be a woman. Like, really uncomfortable. I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like being watched and ignored at the same time. It feels like a lot of people want you dead. I hope it's not true. I hope it's just in my head, but anyway, like, back to the whole, like, jealousy thing. What is it really? Like, if like, say you're a female and you see someone who is, by whatever the modern standard of beauty is at the moment, more than you, like, prettier than you, or younger than you, or whatever, what is it really that you want? I guess people would say is, like, the benefits of those things. I don't know. What are the benefits of those things? I don't know. Because I'm telling you right now, like, I've been a girl or a young woman my whole life, and, like, it's not fun. I hate it. It's a nightmare. Do they just want attention? Or do they want to know that, like, at any given moment they're the best in the room? I don't know, maybe I blame like, our culture, and if it's brainwashing, I think it starts at, like, birth, at childhood, right? Like, we've got all these Disney movies where the main character, the protagonist, the good one, is always, like, young and pretty, whereas the evil ones are always either, like, ugly and awkward looking, like the stepsister, the evil stepsisters, or they're just old, right? Like, God forbid a woman be old. So I think it kind of, like, brainwashes girls into thinking that, like, they gotta be the fairest of them all. And that's something which is inherent, right? You're just naturally gorgeous. You're just naturally this or that. It's not based on skills or things you've worked for. It's, you're the prettiest, you're the youngest, you're the whatever, and if you're ugly or you're old, then you're evil, right? You're not the main character. And it's like we're not given an option. We're not given an option to even consider other possibilities. Like, hey, maybe there's more to life than being pretty. Like, maybe I can work on my personality or my skills or, like, having a sense of humor. You want to make a group of women hate you really fast? Crack a joke as a woman. Yeah, that'll get you on the shit list real quick. What I want to ask these people is, like, hypothetically, let's say you are the fairest of them all. Like, out of everybody else on the planet, you're the prettiest. What are you doing with that? Is it just the knowledge? Is it just, like, the satisfaction? Like, what does that actually give you, though? Is it the attention they want? Do they want all eyes on them? Like, in an enterprising sense, it does make sense, right? If you're gonna cash that in, like, I don't know, make an OnlyFans or something and turn it into, like, a business. Okay. You know, make your living. Do what you can with with your capital. But like for people who aren't doing that kind of thing, and they'll just, you know, stand around giving other people nasty looks, what is it that they want? Do they want all eyes on them, all the attention? Hypothetically, what if they had that? What if they had all eyes on them, maximally attractive to all men at all times? What are they going to do with it? If you're looking for like from a biological point of view, like it only takes one. You only need one man. One good one, preferably. I don't know, maybe it's the scarcity of that thing right there. There's plenty of men, but we're like the loyal ones, right? The ones who won't be so easily led astray by the next hot one that comes along. Maybe that's it. And anyway, that kind of gets me thinking along the lines of like nihilism and like, well, damn, what's even the point? Like, why are we here? Why are we contributing to the cycle of human suffering? And yeah, I talked about that in one of my other videos, my dashboard video. Like, do we really want to keep bringing people into this shit show, like this world where I didn't ask to be here? Did you ask to be here? This is my rant about the pain of girlhood. And where to go from there. I'm about to turn 35, so I'm definitely not a girl anymore. That's something else I want to talk about. How in English, at least, I think in other languages too, people tend to refer to women as girls, like up until, you know, maybe their menopausal years. Girl this, girl that, girl boss, you know. Look at all the book titles, like Girl on a Train, like the girl next door, the girl this, the girl that. It's like, but when you read it, it's like, oh no, these are about women, like grown ass women. Why are we calling everybody girls? And it's like, is it to like keep them in the box and like push them down? Because like with my career right now, that's how I've been feeling. It's like having somebody push you down, just like when I was a child in school and the teacher's saying, oh, you can't do this subject because you're just genetically can't do it. Right. And of course I have to prove them wrong eventually, which is what I did. So anyway, it's like being pushed down. Is it to keep the standard low? Is it so that they don't also have to work on their personality and their skills and their intellect and their sense of humor and their knowledge? Is it so that they can just reduce us all to objects? And I say they as in like other females. Honestly, from my perspective, I've always felt more objectified by women. Like in every sense. I've really enjoyed working with the men on my team. They've always held me to a high standard, and they don't gatekeep. They want me to learn. They don't talk down to me. And I've learned a lot from them, and I feel like my experience working with women, like I said, there's plenty of cool ones. I'm talking about the ones that are triggering me. It's not even about merit at that point with those sorts of people. It's about something else, and something that's undefined, it's unspoken, it's kind of the whole point of this video. It's like, what is it? Is it because I'm like younger than you? Is it because you think I'm prettier than you and you feel intimidated? Is it because I've worked on my career and I'm capable of these other things and you're just trying to push me back into that box? Again, it's like being reduced to like my image, like this body, this object, being objectified by other women. It sucks. But again, I want to acknowledge that there's lots of really cool women out there, and I keep saying women, and I mean that. I think that these sorts of like toxic behaviors that I'm talking about are very childish, and heck, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would not have even referred to myself as a woman. It's scary. It's like, oh, me? Oh, a woman. It's like, who is that? I know I'm just a girl. Just a girl. But no, I think the older I get and the more independent I am, and the more I realize how fully capable I am of things, and seeing past all this BS, I'm a woman. Definitely. No doubt about it. And I'd like to wear that without shame or without fear, because I think that's what it is for a lot of people. It's like fear. It's like, what does that mean? I think it means maturing. I think it means to stop objectifying yourself and other females. I think it means taking responsibility for your actions and your own emotions, your own feelings, and to grow as a person and to work on your skills. And one thing I hate about society is how females, women, girls, were expected to almost act disabled, like physically and mentally disabled, at least while a man is around, because, oh, you gotta let him do everything. He drives, he pumps the gas, he pays for this, he pays for that, he does this, does that. I understand there's like social roles to play and whatnot, which I don't know how important those are anymore. I think society's really weird to begin with. It's a cult. Acting like you can't do anything, and even skirting responsibility, like when you have a job. Like some of the people I'm having to deal with, it's like I'll present them, hey, this is how you do the thing. Click, 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 done. I'm teaching you. You can now go forth and do it yourself, and they don't want to do it. And it's everything is ended with a little like tee, little thanks exclamation. I'm just a girl. You can do it for me, right? That sort of like skirting responsibility attitude, and it's very girlish, and I don't like it. Anyway, that was kind of negative. But yeah, I think I don't like the whole acting like you're incapable and can't do things. Like, no, I'm capable of a lot. And this isn't some like feminist rant about equality. I'm aware, like, we're not equal. My body does things that your body doesn't do. I'm also built like a wet noodle. I can't carry much weight with my upper body. My wrist would probably just like snap Yeah, it sucks. But anyway, yeah, I think not all girls become women is where I'm getting at, and it's really harmful when those girls become mothers before becoming women, and it's uncomfortable to think about how many people start families very young, but that's a whole other topic. So when it comes to working with men, I think people are generally very, I don't know if on edge, but very aware of the possibility of like being canceled or, you know, having some sort of action taken against them. I know apparently back in the day, like sexual harassment was pretty rampant and pretty bad, but I've personally never dealt with it. Like I said, the men I work with are very respectful, and you know, some of them can even like compliment, you know, my shoes or something, and it's fine. I don't get offended. Like, yeah, I do look nice today. Thank you for noticing. You know, if someone is being aggressive or you know, making sexual advances or something, that's a very easy fix. It's just straight to HR, boom, done. Like, you're protected against those sorts of things, generally in most office environments. I know it still happens, but I've personally never dealt with it. But unfortunately, there's no protection against the sorts of things that a woman will do to you, professionally or socially. And again, this is that specific type of female that will just seek you out. That's the thing. In my experience, like, you know, I'm a straight female, so I've only ever dated men, and any bad experiences that I've had with men was because I chose to get involved with them. I thought, okay, I can try to make this work with this guy. I realize now I shouldn't have tried, but with women, like I said, I don't date women, but I can be out minding my own business out in public or at my job or something, and like, they will seek me out, right? They're like hunters. They'll find it. They come out of the woodworks to mess you up, like, and like I was talking about, the sorts of things that they do are incredibly passive aggressive and insidious, and like, good luck getting any help with that, because HR is probably in on it too. So in some cases, like, you just gotta find another job and up and out. And that's a funny thing, because I've dealt with the sorts of things for so long, starting from like the very beginning, starting with things in school and other jobs that I've had, and every time I find myself in these situations where you're like feeling that thumb of oppression by other women. Yes, I said it. I move up and I move out. I'm on to bigger and better things, and that's how I've handled it so far, and I think it's working out for me, and I do recommend it. But what do I think the cure is? Well, one of the classiest and most charismatic things a person can do is to acknowledge other people and give compliments, right? So, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about being a woman and being mature and taking responsibility for yourself and being able to acknowledge everything. Like, acknowledge, like, okay, yeah, maybe I have beautiful hair, but this person here has a gorgeous smile. let them know, like, address the elephant in the room. I think a lot of times people hold back on compliments because they don't want to acknowledge it, because it's like, oh, well, if I compliment this bitch, then, sorry, maybe, it'll make me look less cool in comparison. But no, I think the person giving the compliment becomes the most charismatic person in the room. They earn instant respect from everybody, I think. Seems to be. And yeah, the truth is, like, yeah, there's always going to be someone prettier, someone younger, or someone, shinier hair, or better this or that. Like, it's just a fact of life. Like, it's just how it is, right? And like the world is so full of negativity. Like, for instance, if somebody has like crazy crooked teeth, like, they probably know it, right? We've probably been told that. But that same person might also have like a really great voice. So, and they don't even know it, maybe. Like, they have no idea because no one told them. So I think compliments are really cool and a really good alternative to acting like a toxic schoolgirl. But another thing I want to conclude with is, so when I lived in California, I was trying to date, and it just wasn't going well. Like, I just wasn't having any good luck with it. And at one point I was feeling pretty down, and I saw this documentary. I think it was on YouTube. It was this documentary about this all-female longboarding squad, I think in Europe. And they would just like travel around Europe in a van and bomb hills, basically, and just do like their longboarding, do tricks and go cruising and stuff. It was so cool, and I felt really inspired. I was like, that's awesome. I want to do that. I didn't go bomb any hills, but I got a longboard. I bought a longboard, watched some videos, taught myself how to ride it, because I'd never done that before. And before long, like, I would go out where I lived in California to go, like, on my days off, put in my music and go longboard, go cruising. It was awesome. It was really fun, and it gave me something to look forward to on my days off. All of that stuff, it was kind of the opposite of the sort of toxic behavior I'm talking about, right? It was very active, and it was very independent. I did it completely on my own. No one told me to do it. No one encouraged me. I just saw something that I thought was cool, and I went for it. I spent my own money. I taught myself. I used resources. And it brought me a lot of joy, and it's something that I still enjoy. I still have that longboard. But I said all that to say that one day I was out walking, and I saw a little girl. She's probably about, I don't know, like 7, 8 years old. And she's with, I guess, her father, and he was on the phone, and she had like a skateboard, and he was kind of like only half paying attention to her until he's kind of like, kind of acting annoyed. And she didn't really know what she was doing, and she's kind of like getting on it and like, didn't really know how to balance. And I saw that, and I thought, oh man, I hope she doesn't give up, because I know how fun it is. And I would love for someone else to be able to feel that, to feel like the wind in her hair and like just going. So I turned to her and I was like, hey, if you put it on the grass first, then you can like stand on it and get your balance and like, you know, learn how to like lean and get a hang of it first before you're on the pavement. And so she did that. She moved it over to the grass and was just like, oh wow, like cool, thank you. And you know, when other people maybe weren't giving her the time of day to take her seriously, because what, girls are just objects, they're just supposed to sit there and be pretty and not develop any skills or hobbies or interests or challenge themselves or try to get better in any way. Like, no, like I want to tell that girl, I want to tell all the girls, like, you're so much more. You're so much more than this. Than this. Like, you can be super cool. You can be a total badass. You can do cool things. You can feel all the feelings. You can develop your skills in your mind. And you can also be cute or hot or pretty or whatever you're going for. Like, you can do it. That's just the cherry on top. To conclude, this isn't like a hate rant on other females. I don't hate other women. I do wish I had female friends. I just hate what we do to each other when we don't acknowledge like our womanhood. And I realize everything that I'm talking about right now, you know, that none of this is like true oppression, right? This is coming from like upper middle class white America, like Karen problems, and I can't even fathom the sorts of things that like women in Afghanistan are going through right now. How, you know, like women and girls supposedly, I don't know, I just see headlines. I don't actually read any articles, but apparently they're not allowed to speak to each other anymore, or have windows, right? So I acknowledge the fact like true oppression exists in the world today, and it's really awful stuff, and I wish that wasn't happening, but that's a whole other ball field that I'm not even, I'm so privileged I don't even have to know about that stuff. Thank you for listening. When I was a child, I was in no hurry to grow up. I spent my time outside climbing trees, playing in the creek, and catching salamanders. When I was 10 years old, my mother and my older sister held me down in the bathtub and forcibly shaved my legs. Why did they do it? Was it so the little boys at school would not be grossed out by me? Or was it so the girls at school wouldn't make fun of me? Why do we do the things we do? I could try to reframe this story in a funny way to make it less uncomfortable, but I don't want to. A decision was made for me that day, and something was done to me. Now I could have endured the growing out process, but what was stopping them from doing it again? So the message was received, and I added that to my daily routine. Things are a little different now. I'm older and I can afford things like laser hair removal. Anyway, I'm not sure what to say at this point, so I'll just say thank you for watching this far.